Hello, everybody, and welcome to Paranormal Nation Radio. Not so normal. How's everybody doing tonight? How's Ron doing?
Good.
And
There's
hello to
Nigel already.
Nigel. Yep, Nigel's already in here in the chat room.
I wonder, hope he wasn't looking for us the last couple weeks.
Yeah, we were kind of on a little hiatus for the holidays and stuff and the storms and stuff. Right now, we're still living with all this big white area I got out here
Mm-hmm.
and everything.
And what's that stuff called again? What was that?
That's that 4-letter word that you don't like. Well, you didn't like to hear. Now you like to hear it because you're down there in the warm weather, but that snow that comes in and everything.
That brought back memories of pushing cars out that were stuck in the snow.
Right.
They said Kansas City got the worst.
This here you would have had to push a bunch of cars down. So I mean, it was. I talked to a guy today from Cameron. Found out at 2:00 Sunday afternoon at Cameron. Cameron put an announcement out everywhere on Facebook, on the radio, everything. At 2:00, the streets of Cameron are shut down. The police department went through and shut every business down. They shut Walmart down.
Did they?
Yes, because they couldn't keep up with the snow.
No.
It was backing up so bad.
I showed Cameron getting 13 inches.
That's what we got. We got about 13 and a half up here, but
yep.
Most of it. And we probably would have had more snow if the wind wouldn't have been blowing.
Right.
I mean, there was drifts up here, 6-foot drifts in the road.
Oh, yeah.
Is how bad it was. But anyway, Denise brought us a good guest tonight and everything. So we're going to bring Michael Norton up and find out what he's been up to. Hello, Michael.
Hey, Paranormal Network. How you guys doing?
Yeah, doing
good. How you doing?
Doing good.
Right. You might want to tell our listeners a little bit about yourself and everything and what you do.
What do I do? I am all over the map. I'm actually a reverend. I'm a Christian minister. I work. What do? I do spiritual warfare, a lot of stuff. I work either with hauntings. I deal with people who are dealing with the occult. I've done exorcisms when they show up. And I work a lot with, which kind of strange, is with, there's a weird fine gray area where I counsel people who have multiple identities. They've been programmed. And a lot of times the occult was used to program people for multiple identities.
Yeah.
And so a large chunk of my ministry, what I do is working with these people. A lot of them have been sex trafficked. A lot of them were spiritually abused and sort of stuff. And that's where a big chunk of my supernatural stuff comes from. I work with that one on a daily basis. So I deal with the witchcraft, the occult. And then I also train churches in my local area for deliverance and exorcism. And
well, that's good.
That's the broad stroke of it.
See, that's good because on my paranormal team, my co-founder is my pastor and everything. And we kind of do the same thing you do and everything to help people. And, we go through the Bible on the paranormal, the spiritual part. Yep. And you'd be surprised how many pastors out there go, well, how come you do that? And I'm like, have you ever read the Bible?
Mm-hmm.
It talks about spirits, demons, ghosts,
Well, I joke out here in California. I'm that guy. Spirit. Yeah, I'm that guy they look for. Where's that guy that does this stuff? The pastors, get that guy. I know he's in this area. Get that guy.
Yeah,
I'm the guy. I'm that guy.
Yep.
They don't want to touch it, or when I bring it to their church, they get it out like, I didn't think it was going to be this. What did you think it was going to be? What did you think it was going to look like? So
exactly. And then when we had our church going and everything, COVID kind of shut it down because
I ran that problem too.
Yeah. In our church were the older group, and some of them passed away, and we finally sold the building. But we still do a lot of stuff, and everybody in the church understood what we was doing as paranormal investigators.
Right.
helping them. We went to several of their houses where they couldn't explain certain things going on. I went to one of our ladies' houses, me and Gary did, and we had video cameras set up so they could watch me in there. And I'm in the bedroom filming and asking questions, and all of a sudden it felt like something ran a cigarette in my arm.
Right.
They heard me yell. I walked out, and I had a blister already, just like a cigarette burn on my arm. What we found out was in her bedroom, her son was over in Afghanistan and Iraq and Iran and all those places. And he sent a shadow box back with a flag and all his medals in it. When we got done and I went through all my pictures, when I was taking that picture of that shadow box, down in the corner, there was a figure in the glass. And I zoomed in on it, and man, it was evil looking. The only way I could describe it. So I showed it to her son when she passed away. I showed it to him, and he goes, "Oh my God." He says, "I saw that thing when I was over there."
Yep.
I said, "Well, you do something with that box and get rid of it."
They were doing that a lot to the soldiers over there, putting the gin on them. Yes,
it came back with and stuff. No wonder she was having a lot of stuff going on in the apartment.
Go, Mom.
Yeah.
Mom's in on a chat.
Right. But yeah, people don't understand that more pastors need to get into this in the paranormal and the spiritual part. Because that's what the Bible is all about, spiritual and faith.
Yep. And I've seen what you're talking about because I did homeless ministry a lot when my charters did early on. That's how I got into the occult stuff. I've seen with the homeless. And I saw a lot early on Iraq soldiers who were homeless, men and women, who had demonic activity going on. And that's why they're on the streets, because something came back with them. And the church didn't help them. And there's no way the VA could help them with that one. You know, it took years for me to work with one girl to finally get her to talk to me. Her little demon wouldn't let me talk, you know?
Yeah.
A
lot of them don't realize that, PTSD, and I understand all that from being a veteran, but a lot of our military people that spent time in Afghanistan, especially in Afghanistan, Iraq, and Iran, and saw stuff that they can't explain, and it came back with them. On top of the PTSD, they're fighting everything.
I think a lot of those guys overseas cast stuff on our men on purpose like that. I think they had with the Muslims over there casting those demons on them.
Right. They did everything else. Why not do that?
Right. Yeah.
They figure, well, we're not going to get you over here. We'll make sure that something gets you when you go back home.
When you head back. Yep.
And it just doesn't affect one person. It affects everybody that's around them.
The household, the friends. Yeah.
Yes,
it's horrible. It's a horrible situation. It's hard to diagnose too, because you have to. That's some of the stuff I had to come in on. Is this PTSD? Is it dissociative identity disorder, or all the above plus a demon? You know, and how do you work with that? And most pastors think everything's a demon. They don't know how to work with the PTSD. They don't know how to work with the DID. You know, and or it's demonic. So people jump to the demon right away. Sometimes it is. Sometimes it isn't. Like you said, other stuff could happen. Yeah. It's tough. It's tough.
It is real tough out there. And there's so many veterans, even homeless veterans, even the ones that aren't homeless, are suffering with this, and they don't realize it. That's the bad part. They're just thinking it's PTSD. They're going to give me some drugs to calm me down. Well, that doesn't help it. That just feeds it.
Yeah, as you said, the VA can't help you on that. They're not qualified at all.
Yeah, I've had on a few occasions.
Snow, Carl?
What's that?
Huh?
I was asking Carl if you're watching it snow.
No,
I've had a few rare occasions where the psychologists actually call me now about demonic activity to explain it to them, because they're starting to see it, and I'll explain to them, this is how you know if it's dissociation. This is how you know if it's demonic, right? But it's interesting. I mean, probably once a year I'll get one of those phone calls where they encounter it. But they're still having psychologists still having a hard time dealing with the DID part, multiple personalities.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Crazy stuff.
It is
you
crazy.
have to like troubleshoot and figure out, what their actual problem is before you can, find a cure.
Well, usually because I've been doing the occult stuff for so long now. And in fact, I got into this because I call it generational haunting. Every house we ever moved into was haunted, right? And something was following my mom. She was into spirit board stuff. So my discernment was kind of dialed up by the time I got into this stuff and got drafted into it. That when I talk to people, I go, well, I think I have a demonization going on. Well, we got to meet face to face. And like, why? We do it over Zoom? I can do it over Zoom too. And now I can pick up over Zoom, but I have to talk to them. And I can usually pick up on it, something demonic there, but it's how do you train people to do that? But I've been through so much of it. Like you guys have, you walk in, when there's a spirit in the room, or you walk in, you feel it, right? Oh yeah, there's something here. Or usually they'll sense I could pick up on it and they'll attack me right away. It's like, oh yeah, this is a demon, And it's not because a person did something. I have people think they're demonized, will act like a demon, but there's no demon. That's part of the dissociation tract. But like if I walk into a room and a person's standing across from me, I feel something reach into my guts and grab me. Like invisible hands. I go, well, hello, there's somebody here, right? Mm-hmm. Something else here twice besides the two of us. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's like you said with the cigarette burn, right? There's something here. I don't need to walk in with the meters and stuff like you're talking. I'll sit there and just sit in that room like, what's going on? Let's feel the temper. Let's do our own measurement on this room, Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you're saying, there's something here, they'll show it.
Right. And what was weird about the cigarette burn, I came out and I showed them. So we're sitting there. I drank a cup of coffee and everything and was talking. And about 30 minutes later, it was completely gone.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And they looked at it and I said, you've seen it bubble up. It looked just like you'd put a cigarette out in it and taken it out. And had that burn mark with the bubble of pus underneath of it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And everything. And I said, look, it's gone.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. I mean, there's so much stuff in the paranormal, and especially with stuff that they're bringing back from overseas, in the Middle East, in all the bad stuff that they do over there, and bringing it back with our soldiers.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's their home. We look at it biblically, right? That's where a lot of this stuff originated, or like the demonic and all that. It's ground zero there. So yeah, if we send something back, it's tainted. It was right in their home. Yeah.
Right. And it comes back and, you can cast it out, get rid of it, but where's it going to go? Mm-hmm. It's not going back to the Middle East. Mm-hmm. It'll continue on.
Yeah.
A lot of times. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. I mean, it's
a lot of times too, like I said, following the Bible, I usually follow their instructions. I either send it to the dry, arid place, because that's like, we call it a cosmic geography, right? It's here, but it's not here. There's like a place where those things congregate. It's like it's Sheol or death, but it's not here, but it's located sort of here, right? So I'll send it to the dry, arid place, or send it to where the Holy Spirit tells it to go. So if there's something that's out of my jurisdiction to send judgment, like you go, the Holy Spirit tells you to go. So the Holy Spirit sends judgment on it. Then you're gone. Don't come back. Never return, man. That's the final words in the name of Jesus, and never return. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of people use sage and the crystals and all this and that. Way we do it through prayer and stuff. Through the Bible, like the Bible tells us, we have the permission to cast out.
Yeah, we got the authority. Yeah, it's more permission.
Yes, we have the authority. And I mean, it's that I think a lot of paranormal teams ought to look into that.
Yeah.
And everything.
And you don't have to be Christian either. It's just like it's back to Joel 2:20. The Holy Spirit was poured out in everybody. So even though you're not saved yet, I've told this to New Agers too. Because I sneak into New Age places, I'll do like prophetic ministry and talk with them just to have fun with their psychics. Like, how you doing this? And like, oh, by the way, I know your house is haunted, right? How'd you know that? And they figure out, well, you're a Christian. Why don't you tell them I'm going to hell? Better yet, if you get that spirit in your house, Go say in the name of Jesus, I want you to leave. She goes, I'm not a Christian. I go, just go tell it that. In the name of Jesus, leave. Don't never come back. Because let it work. You go, yeah, it'll work. You know?
Yeah.
And a lot of times people come back. That's kind of like how I got them to come on board. Well, now tell me more. You know, it was like a calling card. You know, like, tell me more about this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, that worked.
Yeah, that worked. Zach Bacon's didn't work, but this did.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
That is exactly right.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see. You're a demonologist, right?
I call it a Christologist. That's kind of
okay. Hey, I like that a lot better.
Because where I'm at with that is there's a demonology, but the church, Western church, got sidetracked. And I learned back more at the Second Temple Hebrews, what they believe. I go back to the old Hebrew, Masoretic Hebrew texts, and a lot of stuff's different, you know, in demonology. Like, for instance, like our current beliefs are that demons are fallen angels. They're not. If we look back at the Hebrew texts and stuff that we're getting out of the Qumran, the old text and the Septuagint, the old Bible, it was in Greek. They were the disembodied spirits of the giants that were wiped out in the flood. That's who the demons are, right? The unclean spirits. And that's one of the things that Jesus came back to rectify, right? So we see in, the Gerasene demoniac? The legion shows up in front of Jesus. He goes, what are you doing here? It's not our time, right? They recognized Jesus, who he was. And that's one of the miracles that showed Jesus who he was, because he brought the miracle of exorcism. It wasn't seen in the Old Testament. He showed up with it, right? Right. So yeah, it's reevaluating stuff. And I mean, I have a whole slew of stuff. Like I'm looking back, like the word gods, lowercase gods, who were they? It's in the Bible too. In Exodus, Yahweh brought judgment on the gods of Egypt. Or were they just little idols or dirt or paper? No, those were real nasty guys. Where'd they come from? Right. And it's like, it's all there. It's from, the Tower of Babel. God divide the nations, 72 nations, right? And he divided them amongst the Ben Elohim, the sons of God, the divine council. He did it as a punitive damages for us disobeying it at Babel. And some of these guys, he put them under wicked, fallen spiritual beings. Were the gods, the Ben Elohims. And that's where he gets some of these guys from. Moloch, Dagon, all these guys, that's in Ra, the sun god Ra from Egypt. They were spiritual beings that wanted to be worshipped. That's why they're building pyramids. God had a mountain of God. These guys are building themselves their own mountains of God, right? We got pyramids, we got ziggurats. So it's interesting following this whole history of these gods that we kind of poo-pooed as a Western church, taking the supernatural out of the Bible. But they existed and continue to exist. We see Moloch in a different form today, in the form of abortion, right? At least that's how he's showing up. We're sacrificing babies, not to the gods now, but for pharmaceutical needs and for maybe actually being used and put in the food industry. Their parts, right? Be recycled and the chemicals. It's like it's a different mask, but the same thing. They're still getting their babies sacrificed, right? So that's why I say I'm not a demonologist, because demonologists send you down a different path. This is the path I follow. Like, what are these guys doing? And I do it because it's documented. Like if you go back to the early Christian church, what Paul was talking about, Ephesians 6:12, principalities, the powers. He's talking about Deuteronomy 32:8, the sons of God, the principalities. He's talking about Daniel 10, where the prince of Persia, in the heavenly realms. That's where these guys got these territories. They were divvied after Babel. And so we have these gods and we have these unclean spirits that came from Genesis 6, right? The crazy one. The sons of God came down, took for themselves daughters of men, went into them. And that's where these bastardized spirits come from that are demons. That's where we have these different entities. So I hope I didn't digress too much, but that's where my path of demonology is at. I'm totally going through the old Hebrew texts and in fact, I learned Hebrew because of this. One of my teachers, actually, I don't know if you ever heard Dr. Michael Heiser, wrote The Unseen Realm. I took my Hebrew through him, but he passed away since then. He's had cancer, unfortunately. But it's been an eye-opener learning the idioms of Hebrew as you read the Bible, the original Bible. Because it's like, if we say something today like, oh, check out that car, it's totally sick, and if we translated it today in the Bible, oh, what was wrong with the car? It was ill. But no, it was an idiom saying that was a totally cool car. So we have idioms in the Bible through supernatural stuff like, oh, that car's totally sick, that we have to pick up on and get it and translate it. And that's always been an eye opener during these translations. Right? We'd be very careful with that. But that's my path. How does it affect me? I don't really fall on it when I do the spiritual warfare stuff. I just follow my spiritual authority that Jesus gave it to me, and Jesus is backing me up. And I've had some weird experiences with him where I have the certitude that he'll do something, and be backed up. But it's like, because everything's in question, like what I say, is the modern version of demonology correct, or is the Hebrew stuff that they all line up, but it all falls back into place to what Jesus' authority is. So I don't have problems with that. In fact, the New Testament all falls back in place, but it's how you look at it and how they get there, right? So yeah.
Right. What's the worst or most evil thing you have came across?
Oh gosh. There's a lot of stuff in ritual abuse I've come across with. But the thing is, they don't try to get me during the sessions. They try to take me out and kill me outside the sessions. So about 2 years ago, I had a really nasty car wreck. I don't know if you guys remember that one. That was marooned out in Florida for a while. I've dealt a lot with voodoo, and I know there was something there in voodoo because I crossed the lines back in Louisiana. It was like 10 minutes in Louisiana. I was thinking to myself, man, I've done so much warfare in voodoo. What are they going to try to do to me here? Sure enough, within 10 minutes into crossing in, we were there like around midnight. There's two boys are pushing their car on the freeway. The Louisiana's 2-lane freeways, right? Yeah. Their lights were off. You couldn't see them. I'm pulling a trailer because I'm moving my son out there. And the minute I saw these two boys in the dark with their lights off, pushing a car on the freeway, I'm in the slow lane. A truck veered around me because I was going too slow. I started braking. So I was now on a trajectory, a collision course to plow into these two boys pushing a car. And so I veered off. I didn't realize, I'm not thinking, because I'm not from Louisiana. I almost veered off into the swamps with the gators. And somehow God kept me out of there. I just missed the two boys. I know if it happened, it would have been manslaughter of the vehicle, right? I would have went to jail for something, But fortunately, the truck that passed me saw these guys, and he called the cops right away. And so I already veered off, and the cops show up like in seconds behind me. They thought, we're going to the morgue. They have dead bodies on the scene. The guy comes up to my car and goes, "You're both alive?" I'm like, "My wife and I are both fine. We were in scrape." So I know God protected us. That scared the heck out of him. We should have been dead with the way the trailer was pulling, how much it was breaking. Right. And we missed the boys too. I just barely missed these two boys. And they were freaking out. And it's like, who on earth pushes a car in the dark on a freeway, instead of pushing it off the side of the road? But it's one of those things. I think there's a society
boys from Louisiana.
Come good old boys. Yeah. It's just, I don't think they had dads to teach them better. Like when something happens like that, you push the car off the road and get the hell out of it, But they were pushing it back to the gas station, which was a mile away in the dark. I'm going, good God, I'm surprised they didn't get killed by the other truck that came by. So it was like there was 2 chances they almost got hit. But I've had stuff too.
Dark colored clothes too.
Oh, they're wearing dark colored clothes. Yep. And I've had stuff too. Like I went to the hospital after I did some work in Cambodia with some spirits there for child trafficking. We had demonic manifestations, and also kicked the demons out of the orphanage. They were haunting the place. And like 2 days back from Cambodia, I had this weird, not gallbladder, appendicitis. And it burst. I never felt it. Now I'm walking around, and all of a sudden I feel like garbage. Fortunately, I'm back home now. Wasn't it in Cambodia? Right. And it spread all the way through me. In fact, I was at Kaiser, and they're like, "How you doing?" "I'm doing fine." They left me in the emergency room for 7 hours. So they thought I was okay until I did the MRI. You go, "Dude, you're about to die." So it got gangrenous, whatever they call it. It was all through the body. Yeah. They at least they had to power wash me, But there's been instances like that. There's been several times they tried to take me out. So it's usually not right away.
You didn't have sepsis, did you?
Something. I had my bags and all that control stuff in me. They were pumping me. It was bad. Whatever the infection was, it was all through it. They said it burst like maybe a week earlier.
It's just your whole body's infected.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
sepsis. So I knew that was something demonic too. They just, because it was the way it was done, it was almost effective. It's always been these subtle little like hits, right?
Probably should have killed you.
Should have, yeah.
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 Wow.
But like I said, I've dealt with dark stuff, showing up in sessions and stuff, but never bothered me because you're in the moment of it, right? You just don't fear it. But it's usually like they're hits off the side. Maybe because the stuff I was dealing with wasn't powerful enough, so they call up, let's put a hit in this guy. I can't take him out. Who can? Right?
Yeah,
That's
on
right.
the demonic dark web or something. Who could take this guy out? So it's been funky stuff like that. But nothing freaky or weird. Probably the weirdest thing I've have witnessed was during street ministry. A guy that was possessed. I saw my son. I watched him teleport. I was trying to cast a demon out of this guy in street ministry. I'm talking to my son, like, okay, prophetically, see if you can pick up this guy's name because there's a demon present, right? And my son got I think his name's Phil. And I go, is your name Phil? And he's like, blah, blah, blah. The thing was still up and rattling his brain off. And finally, I pushed him back out in the water, back out to sea. He's walking away from us down this hill in San Francisco. And my son and I turned around to go up the hill to keep going where we're walking. He's right in front of us now. He went from there to there. He's like 20 feet away, and we saw him walk off, and he's right in front of us, blah, 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 this demon-possessed mind. And that was probably the freakiest thing I ever saw, because I was going home thinking, can this guy teleport to my house? Can he show up? That'd be the worst thing I'd want, because the demon is going, get out of here. But we've witnessed levitation and other stuff too. It's been crazy. But every time you witness it, it's just under the power of the Holy Spirit, or you're not freaked by it. When we witnessed the teleportation, I had some people, because I was doing street ministry. It was a lady from one of the local churches who brought her youth group out, and she was a youth pastor. She was freaking. She came out for a lot of sessions with me, but she never returned after that one. Some of the kids did. They thought, well, that was cool. They didn't freak out, but she never came back to the street ministry after that. It just freaked her out so bad.
Wow.
Do you spend any time training others to do what you do?
Yes, I do. In fact, I spent a good amount of time training one church. And I'm not sure what the status is on it right now, because I was telling these guys earlier, when you bring a church up to speed, you show them what this really is, because a church has a perception, a YouTube perception, of what deliverance looks like. When you really get it going with the real deal, it scares the hell of a lot of people when they witness it. And so I've had people I've trained up for, put them through training all the way up through exorcism, and the pastor's going, I don't think this is what we want. We want to go back to this little cute little thing where you just cast demons out and they go away. I said, well, that's not what you're going to get. You're getting the people looking for help.
Right.
So I have people I trained, I kind of coalesce through these things and kind of keep them on my network team, because the churches, I always know it's temporary. It always ends in that way where once they get what they ask for, they don't want it. It's too freaky for the people, or they can't answer the questions their parishioners are asking them. Like we were dealing with the succubus one a while back, so I was prepping people on how to deal with this, and the pastor got upset, like, why are we talking about this? I go, when your people are working with it, because I do like a debrief. Why are we talking about the succubus? I go, because we're dealing with one, and that was the end of the sessions.
To deal with one of them.
It's that?
Ken told us all about dealing with a succubus.
Ken, and I don't know if you ever Russell Irby too. Remember him from that thing? He's dealt with them too. Yeah, he's dealt with them, and they're not fun. And I deal with a lot.
Contrary to popular belief, a sexual demon is not fun.
No, and I tell people, if you deal with that, they'll try to reach out and touch you too. So you got to be very careful you deal with these things. And it's been interesting. So I don't know what the church perception is. What?
Oh, go ahead, finish.
Well, I don't know what the church perception is. We have this perception where we just come in, they cast out demons, and they leave. They don't know what to do if there's long-term battles. If it's a longer than a 5-minute battle, the church doesn't know what to do, or they start questioning their own faith or authority, not knowing there's higher things on the food chain that we have to go after and take some time, right? Like a succubus spirit. It could take a while to get rid of a succubus spirit. You got to keep beating up on it.
How long does it take? What's the longest you've known it to take to get rid of a succubus?
Sometimes in my cases, it's taken months to go, and it can return.
Yeah.
And why would it return?
Sometimes, especially with a woman, sometimes it pleases them so good that they can't get it from a male part or a human part. And so they'll return. And then when it returns like that, the succubus knows they have them. And we have to shut down what they're doing or allowing that to happen to them. Because after that, it starts getting violent with them. It's a demon, right? First gives them pleasure, and it goes, now here's what the demon's into. Watch out. It's nasty, and it's horrible, and it wants violence. So it can return because of that, or sometimes it just can return because it thinks it has legal rights to the person. And you have to go back to battle and kick him out again.
And Gary says many pastors do not believe in demons.
This
That's
is my
true.
This is my pastor, Gary Whitmer. He's
Yeah.
my co-founder with my paranormal team.
Yeah.
Yeah, that I was telling you about.
I have a friend out here who's an exorcist. In fact, I'm going to meet him next week because I have some questions for him. And when I first met him, he was asking me, going, "Why are you in this?" Because my bishop doesn't believe in the devil.
Your bishop doesn't, or his?
No,
doesn't?
I don't. Oh, his didn't. This was
I
a Roman Catholic exorcist. Yeah. And
he doesn't believe in the devil.
Yeah. And so it was a puzzled look on his face. So I have networks with some Roman Catholic exorcists too, because I call it's our therapy sessions. We'll go out to lunch and talk about some weird stuff we dealt with this week, or how do we get up our system or exchange information.
So how do they explain the devil in the Bible if they don't believe in it?
That's what I'm curious about.
Has he read the Bible?
Yeah. How have you not seen
and
this?
He's a bishop.
I don't know.
He's up there.
Yeah.
He should believe in the Bible.
Yeah. Yeah. Is it just for a paycheck? Because he's got a roof over his head? I don't know. I've heard that quite a bit, though.
He may have had such a cushy job that he's never experienced it.
Right. Yep. Yeah.
That could be, because there are a lot of people who have cushy jobs that never experience what the people down in the trenches do.
Oh, yeah.
Ever.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Could
anybody? Or he doesn't know how to recognize it.
Yeah. And the hardest part is bringing this into a church. Like my home church, I left a few years ago because of the same problem. I was brought in to teach deliverance there too. He goes, the pastor goes, "You're frightening the people." I go, "This is what we're talking about in the Bible." But the aspect that it was real frightened him. It's like, well, how do you not make that leap? Like, okay, are you just here for a fairy tale? This is my beliefs, but I never really seen it. But here's this guy talking about it, so he's got to be insane, or there's something wrong with him. Go, pastor, go talk to this guy. Make sure he's not talking about this. He's freaking us out,
So the Bible. So in his mind, the Bible is fiction.
I think with the bishop, I don't know. Why are you preaching something where he's or unless he hasn't connected the dots, or at least he's not saved? Yeah.
Or maybe
that'd be my guess.
Maybe he's from this new Pope stuff where
right,
all the weird shit's okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, all the above. All the above's okay. Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to get religiously political, but that's what it looks like from the outside. Because it looks like they've done this flip-flop in the Catholic Church on their laws.
Yeah.
Their belief system has completely flip-flopped. And I mean, I'm not the only one who's noticed it. I mean, even people in the Catholic Church are questioning a lot of that now.
They're not buying it.
Yeah. They're throwing out all their principles.
Yeah, that's what people say. Wait a minute, no, this is wrong. Yeah.
So can anyone learn to be a deliverance minister without becoming a minister?
I believe so. We were having a discussion earlier. I think it says in Joel 2:20 where the Holy Spirit was poured out on everybody. I've worked with New Agers who who had hauntings, and we'd talk back and forth. And the conversation was, "You're telling me how to stop a haunting. Most Christians are telling me I'm going to hell." And I go, "Well, no, I just want you to go back and say, in the name of Jesus, I command you to leave my house and never return." And we'll come back, have a conversation. It's almost like an evangelical tool, right? A lot of times it left. What happened? I think the Spirit was poured out on everybody. We all have this ability. And I'll go into dangerous waters here too. I hope I don't step on any toes. Like some people some people have the spirit of discernment, or people have the ability to discern spirits. Sometimes a psychic medium had their gift hijacked by the enemy. And they think they're operating on something that was, turned into something else that was meant for something else because it was given to them at birth. Right. We've seen a lot of that too.
Yeah. I mean, that doesn't mean that, a gift that's given to you at birth can be manipulated later on.
Exactly.
Because of what you think you want. When you're young and innocent, it's hard to manipulate. Yeah. But once you get to the point to where you're going, I can do something with this. In the back of your mind is easy job. What can I do to make this my job? And that's the moment that it happens. And I don't think a lot of people think about that. Like when people will ask me, are you a medium? And I say, no, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Just because I see stuff doesn't mean I want to see it. It's there. It happens.
Right.
I have a day job, and my job is data, you know, and you're the same way. Your job is data. Some of the stuff that we're talking about doesn't jive with that data side of us.
Oh, not at all. Yeah.
It makes us, I mean, it's a 180 from what I do for my job to what I do to help people.
Right.
So.
Yeah, we had this conversation earlier as I started researching all the old Qumran texts, you know, the Dead Sea Scrolls and the old biblical texts. Because of that, because of my data side of my brain, I have to make the equations balance in my brain. Like, what did I just see? What's this about? You know, it may not carry over what I know over to what's happening, but it helps. Helps explain it and put a background to it. But there'll be that chasm where it doesn't carry over, but it makes sense of what I'm seeing, what's happening. Right?
It's an algebraic equation. And I don't know, very few people understand that analytical side to the spiritual side. Because, you know, like you'll have people ask questions and I know you hear it. Are there beings on other planets? And if they are they created in the image of God?
Right. Yeah.
Well, yes. Maybe God evolved over time and they look different because of the God had
universe is huge.
Well.
Our universe is huge. Yeah. Like I said, it's my answer to that is I don't have an answer either way to that, but it's kind of like you go tell some shepherds that explain them quantum mechanics, explain them, you know, planetary mechanics, stellar stuff and all this stuff. And by the way, there might be some more civilizations out there. You know, there are thousands of light years. What's a light year? You know, or something like that. It's going to be out of their context. And it wasn't necessary to explain to them what happened here. You know, God created it. Right. So I don't think our Genesis wasn't meant to be a scientific text. So it leaves a huge question mark. I think we're supposed to wonder and ask those questions. You know, it's part of the human thing to explore and to understand. It's like, could it possibly be life on Mars? Possibly. Will we discover something? Who knows? I don't know.
I don't think that there's beings like us, intelligent human beings, intelligent beings on Mars. I don't think I know.
Like microbes or something, right? We find something there. It's like a microbe or something like, yeah.
Of course, it might be smarter than half of the population of our planet.
Most politicians, combined.
But we know that the odds of us being the only planet of people that can communicate with other people or other anything is minimal. We can't be it. We can't be the end all be all of everything. But if there is something out there, we need to keep in mind that if we believe in the Bible and creationism, it was all created by God.
I follow like the Star Trek plan. I think there may be something out there, you know, when we start visiting, we may find other stuff out there, you know, may not be nearby or maybe they are, but yeah.
I mean, we are not going to know until we know. And that's the thing. It's just like Bigfoot. We are not going to know if Bigfoot exists until one sitting on the couch of Jimmy Fallon in the middle of the night, because that's where he's going to show up.
Right. Drinking from his coffee mug, answering questions. Yeah.
You know, in the past, it wouldn't have been Jimmy Fallon.
I still wouldn't watch it.
It would have been Johnny Carson. You know,
Johnny Carson, I would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I miss those days.
Right. It's true. I still want to get out there and do something. Me, I personally like to go do some squatching or something, just to go see what's out there. You know.
Well, you know, between here and where your son lives, there are a lot of reports of skunk apes and other things.
So, I was down near where was I? I was there, southern part of Florida there, on the Gulf side. And I went to the Skunk Ape Research Center. I got my hat, got my shirt. But the lady wasn't too in tune to talking about stuff there, because I was asking her questions.
That was actually on one of the episodes.
It was on that show.
Yeah, they went 3 spots in Florida.
Right.
On the 3 different episodes.
I,
Somebody I was talking to goes, "Hey, we got a swamp boat or swamp bug. Let's go out there and look." Oh, heck yeah! Here's my money. Here we go. Take me out.
Yep.
But
Ochobe?
The store. What's that?
Ochobe?
Ochobe probably. But like I said, the lady who was there at the store wasn't too very responsive. She was a very nice lady, but I was asking her questions. She goes, I can't answer those.
She's just there for the paycheck on that case.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
Hey, at least you wasn't making stuff up.
Right. Yeah.
Like, you know, they like Granny Smith apples the best, right? No, I didn't know that.
Well, she was getting into it with me. She goes, our skunk ape's bigger than a California skunk ape. Go, oh, no, he's not. Our California ape's bigger than your skunk ape. You know, so we got to deal with that.
Yeah. Chanel, I'm glad that you're here, Chanel. And April, I'm glad you're here too. I'm not ignoring any of you. I came in late, so I didn't know who said hi to who. So, but Chanel, I believe the same thing, that life on Mars is not like us.
No.
And that they're maybe at the beginning. Purple people eaters for president. That's good. In 4 years, that's fine. But let's get through this one first.
Right.
Yeah. If last 4 years of Mars attack happened, I would just have sat and laughed. Just like in the movie? They just vaporized all of Congress. That lady's laughing.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that would be funny.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
That would be.
I don't know. Some of those movies that are out there.
Through Congress. It couldn't be any worse.
Right? What's the loss?
And this stuff really does happen. It's like, how did they know? And it's like, there had to be some divine intervention. You know, they had a weird dream one night and they had to got up and wrote it down, you know?
Right.
So, but I don't know, but it's strange when you look at that stuff, but how long does it take to become a deliverance minister or even just a helper?
I think sometimes it's just the aha moment. I've done that with people. I've taken them out and they didn't believe any of this stuff, but once they saw through their own voice, they casted out a demon. That's the aha moment. Like, what the heck just happened? Well, that was you. That was your authority. Because sometimes God will tell me to shut up and let this person do it because they haven't done it before and they have to see their authority. And that's a caught, not taught trait, I call it. Once they see themselves do it, then the light bulb goes on. Wait a minute, these things do respond. Like the Luke 10:17, right? Lord, Lord, even the demons respond to your name, right? And once you see that, training somebody up, it could take a while because there's so much, and it's just through experience and stuff, right? You go back, you have debriefs. This is what we saw today because everything's so different. It's just finding somebody you can trust to work with them. The problem I have out here at the charismatic churches is this makes stuff up. They're worse than the fake paranormal people. They'll make up stories. They'll make up stuff that happened, and other people buy into it. And then I'm trying to shut these things down. Like, that's not how it works. That's not real. That person lied. Well, she's a big person. How could she be a liar? You know, she's lying.
The bigger they are, the bigger liar they can be.
Right? But, yeah. It's for the notoriety.
April has a good point. Studies have shown that alien abductions have been stopped when calling on Jesus' name. Yeah. So, and like I said, that takes us back to, you know, created in God's likeness. And, you know, maybe God is their God too, called something else, but, or you know, because they have a different language.
And you travel down like what they call it, the blurry creatures. You ever listen to those guys? The Blurry Creatures podcast. They start pontificating about, you know, are they hybrids? You know, hybrids from the Nephilim? Are they hybrids from the demonic experimentation? Who knows? You know, and that's probably why they respond. I don't know. I haven't experienced a gray. When I do, I'll try it. You know, I haven't seen one.
That's the thing. If we have seen something that's a hybrid, how would we know?
Yeah. Right.
You know, maybe if it's from the Nephilim, maybe some of the basketball players.
Right. Yeah.
You know, they're giant. So, but, you know, again, we don't know. And what about
question mark?
And what about the little people? Are they just something that has to do with fairies? I mean,
I'm doing a lot lately, like ministering here in these Indian territories, and I'm starting to collect data on that too. So maybe give me about a year, because I want to find about the stories about, you hear about those too, right? The Indian little peoples. It happens here in Native America too. We had some reliable sources that saw them, I'm gonna go talk with them because I like the.
Are they green?
They were talking like these were just little Native American looking people, like about 2 feet high or something. They take stuff.
Where did they see them at?
Was it Arizona or somewhere in that area down there?
I hadn't heard that.
I had heard that, but I'd also heard that in North Carolina. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
In North Carolina, and well, in the Appalachians, there are little green men, and not aliens, but maybe they're similar.
Yeah. I think we got stuff out there we don't know about yet until we find out. These things are smart enough to hide too. I'd hide from us also. We're giants, right? To them, we're giants. I'd hide.
Yeah.
I wouldn't show myself.
Chanel says a crazy psychic told her last year that a demon was following me, and that's why I'm getting sicker, even though I was told that my cancer is in remission. She says I need a baptism again. Hey, well, at least a baptism will not hurt you. And she didn't ask for money, so that's good.
Yeah. And just rebuke what she said. So Lord, I rebuke that. My cancer is gone. Yeah. Because you never know. Sometimes, like I said, it's the psychics many times have their antennas bent. Sometimes they hear the right stuff. Sometimes they just pick up strictly from demonic. I've had to experience that too. When I go into the psychic fairs and talk to people, sometimes they're picking up on the right stuff, but they can't decipher it properly. Or sometimes like something demonic speaking, like the demonic already knows that she had cancer. So if we put the fear back into her, the cancer, right? They just rebuke it. Like, no, it ain't happening here.
Yeah. And Chanel, I'm so grateful that your cancer is in remission. You fought a really hard fight. I'm really proud of you. So,
well, she has that instinct too, just to point her finger up that, like, nope, God says I'm healed. I'm not listening, no lie. God says I'm healed, and I'm riding that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're very more right than wrong on the psychic thing. But I think sometimes they get the person that the message is meant for wrong. So it ends up becoming something horrible. Right. So, like if somebody was to come to me and give me a reading that was meant for, say, my sister, it might be the truth for her, but it wouldn't be the truth for me. And it could throw you into a tizzy.
Right. Yep. And that's the problem too now with prophetic ministry. Like everybody's prophetic, like everybody's either psychic or prophetics, right? Because I do prophetic ministry in the New Age fairs, and it's like you're talking about, right? Our goal is, if it's from God, it's not going to be a horrible word like, oh, you're going to die tomorrow or something. Like if you get it, flip it, because it's the enemy trying to interject information into you. And a lot of times, if it's just a message I don't understand, I'll just give them the raw version of it and make sure it's not negative. Like I'll ask them, have you had cancer before? Well, yeah. Okay. Well, I guess it's not going to happen again or something like that. Right. It's not, God knows you went through all this or something. Just try to flip it. Because like I said, we may get the raw information and we don't know how to process it or give it to the person. But I always make sure it's not in a negative form when I give it to the person who gets it. Or if it is, I ask God, am I supposed to even deliver this, or am I supposed to pray for him?
April says it's also hard to reconcile the Witch of Endor story and psychic abilities for many who believe it is all demonic and witchcraft, especially talking to the dead. Specifically, I can't see that far.
It's hard for me to believe it's all demonic and witchcraft. Well, it was written in Leviticus, and Saul knew this. We're not to go to necromancers, talk to the dead. And it was kind of a discussion I look about now. We look back at the what our beliefs were back in the Second Temple in early Hebrew and early Christian. There's Sheol and there's the dead. And the reason Leviticus is there because talking to the dead works, right? You talk to a modern Christian, like, oh, it's all demons, No, we can talk to the dead. We're not supposed to, because when it defiles us and who we are, because we're living, we're not supposed to be talking to the dead. I believe it's all demonic and witchcraft. She apparently summoned the Elohim, or the spirit of Samuel, and she perceived it to be Samuel. But that was also, if you look at 1 Chronicles 10 or 1 Chronicles 13, about the sin of Saul was seeking out the witch of Endor, or somebody who had a familiar spirit. So she was labeled in the Bible as actually having a familiar spirit or a demon used to communicate to the dead, the Witch of Endor. It was First Chronicles 13, one of those that's in there. First Chronicles 10, 13. I'll have to go look it up.
April will test you. Of course, you sent her your book the last time you were on. So
I remember April.
She knows
I remember.
Yeah, she knows this stuff.
Yeah.
Probably should have her on here interviewing you instead of us.
Keep asking questions, April. Yeah.
Yeah, please.
But like I said, this goes back to Second Joel now. Like what the reason why these psychics have the abilities because the Holy Spirit was poured out on them, right? And we don't have to choose Christ, but still have this gift in us. He's not going to take it away because we didn't choose Jesus. However, it can be rolled over and hijacked into something else it's not supposed to be. And just like we say, like on the Christian side, it's prophetic, right? We're listening to the Holy Spirit to get information. That's what it's meant to be. And it could be a spirit or something else that takes over on the other side if we don't accept Jesus and have what's called a redeemed gift. That's just my theology behind it, how this stuff works. So I work a lot with, like I said, I work a lot in the psychic world, going to the paranormal, not paranormal, but the psychic fairs. And we do the prophetic ministry with these people. And they kind of find it fascinating that we'll go in and work with these people, But it's interesting. So go ahead.
Could be plenty to pick from on those.
Yeah. Basically, what I was going to ask is, the people in the paranormal get so wound up in, wanting to find a spirit, wanting to talk to one. What is the relevance of religion in paranormal investigating?
I think it's mainly relevant in one, educating them that we shouldn't be going looking for them to talk to them, right? It's like when I'll do some of my videos, I make fun of ghost adventures. I have holy ghost adventures on mine. But like I contacted you about some places to go. I found one I did Robert the doll, haunted doll. But then I contacted you when I was in Florida and I was like, Jesus, can I go do these? But he goes, to what extent would it benefit when you made these other videos? So I want to make sure they spiritually benefit people. Like one with Robert the doll is showing that we can go up to a cursed doll, walk away from it, not be tainted by it, through the right protocols and procedures. It's just, I think that religion, spiritual wise, like Christianity wise, it protects you with the safeguards and protocols. You follow them. Like I'll walk by places because I have a gift of discernment. I could walk through a town like Sutter Creek out here in California. It was totally haunted. So I used that for an evangelistic tool where I was picking up what was in each building and talking to the owner and videotaping them. So it gave me a chance to open up, talk about my spiritual beliefs, about how I picked up on this stuff without using a meter, without doing stuff, showing exactly where they found stuff. And I had the people take me to the spot where I picked up on it. And then they gave me their story about what they knew is there and what's happening. Right. So it's a safeguard for us, but I primarily use it for either cleaning out places, only if we're requested to clean out a place. So if I show up, there's a ghost here, I'm going to clean this place out. Nope. I don't have the authority to do it. It's not my building, not my place. The person wants a ghost there. Fine. Let them have it. Yeah. But if there's a time where a family's under attack, they request help, that's a different story. Like, okay, I'll pray to Jesus. Do you want me to work on this job and clear out this house? That's a different story. But I personally don't go looking for it, but I have that gift that's always on. Like my wife hates it too. I'll go to a restaurant. I go, oh man, there's a spirit right over there. I'll get the waitress, say, is there a spirit like hangs out right there? Yeah, how'd you know? My wife's going, I can't take you anywhere. Right. I don't talk to the spirit. It's just I'll confirm it with the waitress or something. Or like, yeah, we got something that plays the piano sometimes. Oh, the funniest one was the waitress goes, yeah, and sometimes goes by and smacks our butts, And we'll tell her you don't like it doing that. She goes, oh, okay.
That's funny. So, and Gary wants to know where do spirits of non-believers go when they die? What is your belief?
That's a tough one. I'm going to go have my belief is they do. If you're not a believer, the believers go to heaven, right? We knew that from when Christ died. We're looking back at Luke 16. It gives a description of Hades, which was actually the chamber of death, right? We had the poor man in I can't think of it now. Lazarus, the rich man. It's a rich man, Lazarus, where Jesus gives a parable about what death looks like, and all the people before Jesus went to Hades, right? It was just Sheol, the chamber of death. And when Jesus was resurrected on the third day, he took all those spirits who were who believe in him were righteous up with him to heaven. I believe all the spirits that aren't, except Jesus, that's probably the thing we're here for, they'll go to Sheol, go to the realm of death, or the cosmic geology we call the realm of death. And that's what they go to.
Do they stay there?
I'm going to have a conversation with one of my Roman Catholic exorcists, because I said, I don't believe in purgatory, but after some of my ventures around here the past year, my discernments, I get sort out a demon, sort out a spirit that's not a demon. I'm going to ask him about purgatory, because like I said, this is back balancing the equation, right? I need to go back to the Roman Catholics, what pseudographical books they're using in the Bible that we don't have, that point out to what he's talking about. And I actually like going back in the original languages and looking at them and talking to the experts on what these things say. Because some reason we have hauntings here. I think part of it is lately we've been opening up more portals with paranormal stuff. Like we find a house, it may be haunted, and then we buy the house, we do the Zach Bagans and open it up for tourism, right? And all these people bring their instruments in, and sometimes people bring in the pentagrams and open up more, bring their Ouija boards, open up more, because they don't know exactly what they're pulling through a portal. Oh, I'm talking to the ghost that lives in this house. Well, no, it's a lying spirit, right? And here comes his buddies, and these buddies may also attach to the person when they go home. They got a major problem.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And what people don't realize, it's like a virus.
Right.
You touch, the Fabergé commercial. You touch this person, 2 more people end up getting, something from that house. Whether it's good or bad, it isn't going to matter. Mm-hmm. So, and let's see, Chanel says she's studying Judaism, and my friend who is an Orthodox, she is saying that the psychic is sent from the devil and is trying to dissuade her from being Jewish. That's why they're telling her to get baptized.
Baptized again.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So the thing, Chanel, is I'm going to tell you this. A friend of mine was raised Catholic. He's now a Jewish rabbi.
Mm-hmm.
And he believes in Jesus just as he does in everything Judaism. So it's really very interesting take on stuff when you hear it from that version. And like April, her family celebrates Hanukkah as opposed to Christmas.
Right. And if you look at the Bible too, because I've been studying the Hebrew. I've had this conversation too earlier. I've been studying Hebrew because of this stuff. So I had to study the original demonology, original angelology. If you look at the original context and the wording of the Old Testament, Jesus is in the Bible, but he's not Jesus. There's the context of 2 Yahwehs. Right. If you look at Gideon, the story of Gideon, because this is in Judges. So Gideon's baking bread, having conversation with the physical manifestation of the Lord, the angel of the Lord, right? The angel of Yahweh. And while he's having a conversation there, he's having a conversation with Yahweh. Now we have 2 figures. And so meanwhile, while they're having the conversation, the angel of the Lord leaves and Gideon continues having a conversation with Yahweh. We had 2 Yahwehs present. So when we see the angel of the Lord, which Malek Yahweh is, because the Hebrew is Malek is angel, or actually it's spirit messenger, right, of Yahweh. So we have, many times we have the presence of Jesus and Yahweh. And also in Exodus, when Yahweh speaks to his people, beware of the column of smoke that goes before you. I'll look for it, because he's the one that has the power to redeem. Where we heard that wording before, right? So they're both there. So a lot of times when we read this stuff, don't get caught up in Jesus, because that's a Greek term for the modern term, like Yeshua, right? But we see Malek Yahweh is all over. He's at the burning bush. 2 Yahwehs are all over the place in Exodus. They're there. If you look at, and I'll take this deeper too, you look at Genesis. The Lord was walking through the garden in the cool of the morning. Okay, so what spirit walks?
One that's bored with everything else. Sorry.
Right? There's an incarnation there, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So we're seeing the language and stuff, but we're both arguing between Christian and Judaism. But if you look at the language, what's there, just leave it alone. Oh my gosh, there it is. So I wouldn't worry about the Judaism. It's just understand the text you're reading and unpack it.
Good.
In fact, you might get my book, Cosmology and Demonology in Genesis 1 through 11. That's all in the Judaism perspective, right? About the 3 falls. There were 3 falls. In Christianity, Western Church only had 1 fall. It was in Genesis 3, but there was 3 falls. And that explains a lot of stuff of what the messenger Yahweh came to resolve, right? Yeah. That's when we start talking about the gods that I was talking about earlier that show up. Yeah. It's all there, but even the Western Church, we haven't learned how to unpack it, mainly because I don't know if we're having this family feud about the Judaism versus Christianity. We're saying the same thing, or we should be saying the same thing once we get the fighting down, right? It's just Christianity says, okay, Jesus was this guy. He was the person that came. But up until it, Jesus is all through it. But it's not Jesus, it's the angel of the Lord, and you'll see it. The angel of the Lord's host, we'll see that too. We saw it in Joshua. Yeah.
That can get sticky. That can get sticky when you're putting it all on paper and trying to draw a line from one to the next.
Right.
The different words that they use. But I did in the if you go to the show event or you go to the original part, I did put a link into your Amazon books, so they're all there. So can you say the title of that book again? So that
one was Cosmology and Demonology in Genesis 1 through 11. And that was mainly just looking at purely the language in Genesis 1 through 11 of the 3 falls. And if you look at, like, she's talking about Judaism, I don't know if they are today, but I was looking at Second Temple Hebrew beliefs, and that's what they believe. There were 3 falls. If they fast forward to early Christianity, why did Jesus have to come? Because he had to deal with the 3 falls, not just the fall in the garden. There were 3 falls. And there were cosmic level falls with angels, which we call Genesis 6, right? The Nephilims. That was a cosmic level event that cascaded both through the spiritual realm and our side. So it's good to know. And what threw me back at this, like we're talking about demonology, right? I had to keep making the equations balance. I was always stuck in Paul's epistles, Ephesians 6:12. Where did that language come from? The principalities, the rulers, the hierarchies in the dark heavenly place. Where did that language come from? He knew something, right? And we displaced it in the modern church. He's pointing all back to that. Genesis 1 through 11. And talk about what the sons of God were, and that's those people. The sons of God were the principalities and the rulers. And some were wicked. And we have a hard time in Christianity because God labeled them as little gods. The sons of gods were little gods. They were supposed to be co-rulers, right? God wanted to build a family. That's what Eden was about. An Edenic family where he brought man in. We're supposed to co-rule the earth. But some of these higher power spiritual beings go, wait a minute, we were here before these guys. Why do they get to rule the earth? Right? And so this guy Satan shows up. Who's Satan? Right? That's a title, a Hasatan. That's a Hebrew title. Job, the Satan, the accuser, the adversary.
Sounds like politics way back
exactly. When. And these angels they're fighting each other. That's what right. So we have these same. It's like politics, right? They all want a piece of the pie, and they're fighting each other for it. Meanwhile, they're all against the Yahweh, but at the same time, they're against each other. They all have their own little religions now. That's where religions came from. We never tried to backtrack where these religions came from. It was from the Ben Elohims, the division after the Tower of Babel, the 72 nations.
So do you get a headache watching the news?
Oh, I don't watch it anymore.
No.
I'll catch up stuff on YouTube. It's interesting. Like, okay, what's happening here? Because it's like a 2-minute stint and I'm done with it. Right. But there's so much darkness that's going on. I can feel a little bit lifting now, but we're not out of it yet. We're not out of it. We had a reprieve. No. We got a lot of work to do.
So where did that go?
What are you looking for?
Serious question?
So Gary says, so if all spirits go to Hades, who are all the spirits we find in the paranormal field?
That's what I'm a conversation about. What is purgatory? Are we missing something? because you look at Ecclesiastes, all spirits return to God, right? Is there something the Catholics and Roman Catholic exorcists I worked with have casted human spirits out of people, deceased human spirits. So I want to go connect my dots to make sure, what do they know? What do we know? And what is purgatory? Did I poo-poo off purgatory too soon with my beliefs, or is there something there? And I want to, but like I said, my background is, like I said, so 2 years ago, I got my degree in quantum computing, right? So all equations have to balance. So my brain goes, okay, like same thing he's asking, what are these guys doing? I think part of it is we're opening up a portal to Sheol. We're not allowed to talk to the dead. And the more paranormal investigators were getting in there with their devices, hey, are you this guy? Or the little machine that talks, hi, I think those things are opening up more portals and pulling more stuff over than what was originally there. So what we did is we probably actually tainted or defiled a site that was just normally haunted, or something happened. I don't know. But it's getting more that we have to address it.
Well, yeah, I know, like I said, when we go to a paranormal location, if we find a spirit, great. If we don't, guess what? We're going to have a good time anyway. We're going to eat. We're going to laugh. We're going to have a good time. Yeah. And that's the way we look at it. Mm-hmm. It's an expensive night usually, but but that's how we look at it. We're if we don't get
they don't answer or respond, right? Yeah,
right.
Not a big deal. But they do sometimes make fun of us. We've heard that when they make fun of us for spilling coffee in the middle of the night.
Yep.
So, but
I think it's the people it's conjuring. I think there's some deliberate dark stuff going on. That's what I'm trying to refer to.
Oh yeah.
That was kind of what I explained today. We got interviewed by the newspaper here, and which is a big deal since we haven't lived here that long. Mm-hmm. Already have somebody's reaching out to get to know us. Mm-hmm. And she asked the question about the Sally House, about what we thought. Mm-hmm. We gave her the short version. Yeah. And told her, that the house got cleared, and by who and how, that we knew anyway. And I said, I wouldn't go there now. I said, because whatever's there now is newly conjured.
New inhabitant. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Newly conjured since 2017. Mm-hmm. So how do you know what it is? Period. You don't know. Right. If you say, Sally, are you here? Well, hell yeah, I'm here. Come on and talk to me.
Something answers, right? Yep.
Yeah.
Call me whatever you want.
Yeah, but that was my feeling with the St. Augustine Lighthouse when I went there. Because back from my exorcism side of things, dealing with the occult, I felt occult activity in the Augustine Lighthouse. They were doing something deliberate to make it ghosty.
They probably were.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure there's probably the original Captain Ghost there, whoever it was, who guarded the house, or however the story goes, but there was other stuff there, and it was conjured.
Yeah.
Not good stuff.
And you figure the St. Augustine Lighthouse has been there for since the 1600s?
Yeah. 17? There's bound to be something there.
Yeah, there's got to be, that somebody made it a ritual site somehow, somewhere.
Yeah, because of that.
Yep.
Just because it was a location, it was dark at night and you could see. Guess what? We're going to go where we can see in the dark.
So when are you moving to Florida?
Oh, probably about 2 years. I got this project I'm working on here.
Been that for 2 or 3 years.
Oh, I know.
I told him that's not true. You've only been talking about it since the new grandbaby came.
Yeah, well, that put us on an accelerated schedule here. It's like when I left here in October to go out there to visit my grandbaby. It was like 100 degrees out here. I was only gone for 2 weeks, and I came back, and it was down. Now it's down in the 30s. I was coming back to paint my house exterior to work on it. So it's the weather. It keeps throwing off my schedule because I got to work outside.
Well, that's okay. If you were here, it'd only be in the 30s.
That it? Okay.
40s.
But I wouldn't be working outside on a house. I'm not going to rebuild a house anymore. This is my last one.
Yeah, it was 45. Let's see. Today it was 45. Felt like 39.
Yeah. Yep.
The people I work with live in Wisconsin, Denver, Kansas, and they're going, you're bitching about that.
Right. Well, I say out here in California, we bring the animals in the barn at 45 degrees, so it's just
That's what's really funny is, I was reading the weather thing here saying, bring your animals in. I'm like, why? It's not like in Kansas where
minus 28 or something.
Yeah, I told somebody a couple of days ago, I said,
you actually can freeze to death.
Yeah. I was telling somebody the other day in 2001 or 2021, when it was that really bad hard freeze, it had been well below freezing. In fact, I think it was below zero for like 14 days. It was horrible. And, I go outside and it's a little bit warmer than it had been. There was this poor little squirrel that was chittering at me, and he looked like skin and bones. I go back in the house, and I told Ron, I go, Ron,
he was hungry.
I said, I got to buy squirrel food. and I never, ever bought squirrel food. Cat,
That's funny.
Bird food, yes, because I know that it gets under the snow. But you assume that the squirrels do all this work hoarding. Well, apparently they didn't hoard enough.
No.
So I felt so bad. I said, I wasn't planning on going to the store right then, but I hurried up and got ready to go to the store, 30 miles away, 30 minutes away to go get this damn squirrel food. Here, the squirrels are fine in Florida.
Yeah.
I don't think it matters. There are nuts everywhere. It's like San Francisco. There's nuts everywhere.
Nuts everywhere.
Yeah, they don't need food.
No.
Neither do the birds.
Well, they get right here. So
the birds here are fine too.
Right.
Even though on Sunday, I will tell you, on Sunday, we broke a rule of mine of not feeding the seagulls because we took the kids to feed the fish.
These are river ones. They're different. They're not tame.
Oh.
Yeah. So we were out there.
You could throw the bread net up in the air and they'll snatch them at the beach. These wouldn't do it. They're like, what are you doing? Just throw it out in the water. We'll go get it.
Yeah. We took the kids on a hike because it was, 65 degrees. It was beautiful out. And of course we see a sign, don't feed the alligators. But we brought cat food because, fish like cat food and bread. We stopped so many places to feed the fish and not one fish came up. We finally get to
squirrels like cat food.
Yeah, I knew
they probably do. Yeah.
But we went to we knew that there was a boat dock down the way. So I said, let's go down there. Maybe the water's a little deeper and maybe there'll be more fish. Nope. We ended up feeding four very hungry seagulls. And we didn't get pooped on, so it was our lucky day. But I was like, this is ridiculous. We have 1,500 miles of canoeing rivers right here where in our area.
Oh, right on. Yeah.
And not one damn fish.
They're there.
I know they're there. People have been fishing, but yet they don't like bread. If you would have done that in Kansas,
well, it's GMO. They don't want the GMO bread. They don't want the processed bread.
Yeah, they want the processed stuff.
If we went to Kansas City,
ultra processed, please.
Yeah.
We went. I remember taking
with the paper in it,
taking the bread to Lake Jacomo in Kansas City, and feeding the carp and the big. What else was there? There was a bunch of fish. Okay, they were huge. You could throw it out there, and you could walk across the river or the lake on those fish and never get wet. No, this was not that. I mean, I thought for sure that that's what we would see would be all these fish coming up, and the kids would get all excited, and it was like, oh,
they're feeding us again.
Yep.
Yeah. So luckily I only brought like 6 pieces of bread, but it's just disappointing. But I will tell you, you ever get out this way, you will love all the Blackwater River. It is clear, at least to a point. But we also saw a sign that said, be careful of the, Yeah, be careful of the manatees. I didn't know we had manatees over this far.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
I knew that they had them over in Wakula.
Yeah.
Well,
that's how I get my wife up there now. She wants to see manatees. We got there a few weeks too soon back in October. Yeah, because the Gulf was too warm. We learned that now, right? The Gulf's too warm for them. They're not going to be around here. Okay. So
well, you got to go to the Wakula Springs. It's always, the water's always cool and they're always there. It's a safe haven for them.
Right. So I'll get her out there then. That was her big trip south. But instead she got dragged to the Skunk Ape Center by me. So it's a
so now you got redemption.
Redemption.
Yeah. It's just a little bit, isn't it a little bit east of Tallahassee? Wakula Springs?
No, it's or south of us. It's probably more on this side.
Okay. So it's in between here and Tallahassee.
Yeah.
Off of I-10.
Yep. I think we'll push north next time. We went south to the Keys. I think she might push north next time we go out there just to.
Well, it'd be closer to the grandkid up here.
Yep. Yeah. Yep.
So how is that grandbaby doing?
Doing awesome. I get pictures from her daily. It's just makes me want to get on a plane and get out here.
Yeah, she's walking now.
Oh, she's walking and she's developing a little twisted sense of humor, which is great. So it comes from grandpa and her father and her mom. So I go out there and nurture that twisted sense of humor.
Julie, I'm sorry that it's 15 where you're at. I know it's Kansas, so it sucks.
Yeah.
15 degrees.
Let's see. Then we got welcome William to the show.
Yep.
And let's see when my field gets
he's
turned
in northern New York.
Yeah.
Oh. Yes, I can see where you're afraid of Canadian geese. They
I hate those.
Oh, we got those out here in my lake. They're mean.
Oh yeah.
They are.
I have my dog. Got my dog
and they
run them
poop
off
every 15 minutes.
They'll attack you.
So our dog runs them off. We keep on. I think one or a few backyards so we don't have poop all over. My dog doesn't either because they know I got a dog
on our golf course.
Have at it, man. You have the
Yeah.
They are the most disgusting things. And you know what? I don't see them down here. They apparently they don't like Florida. maybe because Donald Trump lives here.
That's right.
They're afraid they're going to have to become citizens.
Right. He's going to get rid of those illegal immigrants. That's right. He's going to kick them out.
Yeah.
The Canadian
go back.
Canadian ones are the worst.
Where you came from.
Yeah, they don't fly that far south.
No.
Yeah.
They don't like it to be hot. But I will tell you, we went to the beach the other day on New Year's Eve, and the water was about 68 degrees. We didn't go swimming. People were swimming, but we didn't.
That's still kind of cool. Ours gets down like 55 out here when it's.
Well, they said, it felt warm. We were walking in it. We just weren't swimming in it.
Yeah, the Pacific is definitely a lot cooler.
It's cooler.
Yeah. A
lot cold. Yeah.
Why is that?
Especially where I'm at.
No, none of us are going to know that. Probably the wind off of Siberia.
It doesn't really warm up. What's the highest it gets?
It stays like 55 year round or less, right?
That's what I thought.
55. It's always cold.
Yeah.
Very sharky. Big sharks like it. So.
Oh yeah, big sharks love it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We're getting close to baby season for the hammerheads.
Oh yeah.
Down here. That's the only thing I'm waiting for. I want to see the hammerhead
hammerheads. Yeah, that'd be cool.
I haven't seen them. I saw them swimming off the coast of Maryland when I was a kid, but I haven't seen any since.
Good
for you.
I had to kick one.
Seagulls. Yeah, ours are violent out here.
Lake, and a bunch of them were out there, and all of a sudden, one just up and attacked me. I
seagulls?
kicked it in the head.
Yeah, they're violent. Like, they sell pizzas like by the beach. You get a slice of pizza, and those seagulls will come mug you for it, man. They're from the hood.
I'll tell you, when you're at the beach,
this are Canadian geese that were around our lake. Yeah. I was like, damn, I didn't know they'd attack me.
The thing is at the beach here, you can tell who the tourists are by who's feeding the Cheetos to the to the seagulls
and taking their pictures and selfies with them. Like,
Yeah, this one lady was feeding the pigeons. We have just as many pigeons as we do seagulls. And the pigeon was on her, sitting on her hand.
Yeah.
But she was feeding it. And I was like, do you think that's a seagull? I mean, I don't know what she's thinking.
Don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that.
Still a tourist.
Right? Oh my gosh, like, that's funny.
I mean, I'm sorry to say I do like to do touristy things, but I'm not a tourist. I know better than to, because if you're throwing up food for seagulls, somebody's getting shit on. And it's not going to be me.
And we only know that from experience, right? Stay away from them. They don't care.
Well, as they say.
That and Canadian geese do too. They'll aim for you too.
Oh yeah, they'll aim. They'll aim for your car. But seagulls, on the other hand, they always go, "Oh, it's good luck if you get pooped on by a seagull." Yeah, for everybody else.
Nope. Nope.
Not good luck for the person who gets pooped on.
No.
But yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous that people will do that stuff. But I'm still trying to make sure I find that haunted beach, though. Right. Yeah.
The haunted beach?
Yep. Trying to find a haunted beach that we can go to and, see the spirits, go swimming.
There you go. There you go.
We think we may have found one at Fort Pickens. It's between Pensacola Beach and let's see.
A haunted beach?
And Perdido Key.
That'd be interesting.
Oh. Yeah, how did you determine that?
I think we found one because
wasn't there anyone there?
Historically speaking, it should be haunted. I mean, a battle of the Civil War was fought there. Right. One of the few places that the Union got to keep during the war. Because they even lost Pensacola Navy Base. They lost that. But they didn't lose Fort Pickens. Then you have Geronimo was housed there when he was when they took him prisoner, and they took a bunch of the Native Americans prisoner. And hell, if it wasn't for Geronimo, I don't think that all of Fort Pickens would still be there.
Right.
Because the Native Americans actually helped keep the buildings up. So some of the stuff I heard out there is really interesting, but they find bodies out there 3 or 4 times a year at least, not to mention drownings, bodies washing up from Pensacola on the other side, wash up on the beach on one side, and on the other side, you got all kinds of other crap. There's always drownings. So I'm pretty sure if I had more time and I don't have to look down at my feet for rattlesnakes and other stuff, I would probably find them.
No, look at the feet. You don't want the rattlesnake.
Like I said, I don't want to be out there with the rattlesnakes.
Nope.
So,
we'll find a haunted beach with no reptiles, right? Yeah.
Yes. It was actually one of the least populated beaches that we were on too.
It's a park. It's a state park.
Yeah. Which is nice. But hey, Dan, and yes, they do love Thrasher's Fries, but I don't even know if Thrasher's Fries were around the last time I went to Ocean City. So
is that the name of a restaurant? Thrasher?
Yeah. Oh. That's the one thing everybody from Maryland down here screams that they need down here is Thrasher Fries and a real boardwalk. Yeah. We don't have either.
Right. I haven't been to Ocean City, Maryland since a kid. I think it was back in the 70s. My dad was stationed in Washington. We went there during the summers. It was gorgeous. Of course, the first time we went is when Jaws came out and we saw that. So that made my beach experience 75. Very memorable. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody talked about that. Were you ever there when the bluefish came up and started nipping at you?
No.
I got bit by bluefish. I don't know how many times. But yeah, the last time I went to Ocean City was probably 1980. So happy birthday, Lisa. That's that Lisa.
Happy birthday.
So
that's right. It is her birthday.
Dara's mom's birthday today.
Happy birthday. And today was my dad's 100th birthday. If he was still here. Yep.
So what are you guys working on now? You guys working on any cases that are paranormal, or are you just
right now? What we're working on is we are working on a paranormal meetup type thing. Getting people.
I tried to get
together.
that one, but it was like 4 hours away. Until remember, I said, you posted one when I was down here. I go, oh, that's like 3.5, 4 hour drive, but I don't know.
Yeah, we have. Some things have changed, which is really nice. I changed the picture on the event and made it something that was local. A really neat picture that I took of something in our area that was kind of creepy looking. And I put it out there and said, we're doing this meeting outside on January 9th. And the next thing you know, I'm getting a message from a local, the Beardless Brew House here in Milton, and they offered us their event space. Oh, and by the way, we might be haunted. We have
double bonus.
My boss doesn't think we do, but we do, and it's in the historic section of Milton, just right off the main. It's all the historic where all the historic buildings are. So there's a plus there, but it's a community thing, so that's even better. And it's got heat in the bathroom, and who knew that such things would be really important. But for some other people, the fact that they can get freshly made root beer, food,
good sarsaparilla. I love those.
Might be fun for them. And so I thought that was kind of nice that they invited us to utilize their space. And then today, of course, we got interviewed by the local newspaper, and that's going to help us make some inroads with some other places like the Imogene Theater here in Milton, that is one of the most haunted buildings in our area. I mean, when I interviewed people from this area before we moved,
we heard about it.
We had heard about it then. Well, the reporter we were talking to today actually said, contact this person and you could possibly get in there to check it out.
It was bought
just
recently and turned into a church. She actually knows the pastor there.
Cool.
It's like, cool. She goes, I can get you guys in.
So just right now we're doing some community outreach, trying to help people to understand that that spirits, people see spirits. People want to talk about their Bigfoot experiences and their alien experiences and their vivid dreams.
Experience they don't know what it is.
Yeah. Things that they don't know. Yeah. So, or even their near death. And
yeah, that's some of those.
So basically what people are saying is, hey, we found our people. And so, and the thing is we're trying to do it without becoming cliquish. I want to make sure that everybody feels comfortable in the space that we're in. So, and we're working on planning some spirit strolls. That's what I'm calling it. I think that sounds good. Spirit strolls, or haunted history walks through town, because this town has been around. Figure Pensacola has been around since the 1500s. It's older than St. Augustine.
Yeah.
And so
got some real history there. Older than some of America.
This old, How old are we? We got lots of stuff related to pirates and all this other stuff. So we're working on that.
Count me in. Sold me on pirates. Sold me on pirates. Yep.
And we're working on getting together some cemetery walks. So I'm going to reach out to the local historians, maybe the county, the county historical society, see if I can get somebody that can maybe either give us their script of what they do when they go on the ghost walks, so I can modify it to be something a little bit more appropriate for what we're looking for. Or maybe their cemetery tour, because we do have a local serial killer that was buried out there, and it was a pretty famous case. And
for the 1930s.
Yeah, the love letter killers. The female portion of that, she was killed in Sing Sing.
Oh, wow.
And after she was electrocuted, they brought her here and they fixed her up in the funeral home that she used to work in. That is now a beauty shop. And they feel like she haunts that place. So she's kind of a little bit bitchy, I hear. But the downtown area has got a lot of history related to that. And I'm just hoping that maybe I can find it. I mean, if we're going to live here the rest of our life, I'd like to at least get involved in the community somehow, some way. We did find out that the graveyards here are having, well, the cemeteries here are having issues getting enough people to help keep them clean. So there's that as well. Because here, I don't know if you've seen the cemeteries in this area, but they're all, you cannot take a riding lawnmower through these. You're going to have to weed whack most of them.
All through them? They're tight, close, huh? Oh, gosh.
They've all got concrete on top. They've got benches and stuff. Memorial
fences.
Yeah, really old fences, cinder blocks, big rocks all the way around there. So basically they've fenced off their family area. And so needless to say, it's not going to be an easy chore. I mean, we gave a tour. That's probably why it's all
very many people doing it.
But when I gave a tour,
a lot of work.
We gave a tour.
You wouldn't know what a lawnmower looked like, so
yeah, I do.
Or the feel of the lawnmower in your hands.
Oh,
hey, where's the vacuum? See,
you don't know that either.
Yes, I do. I was just the vacuum cleaner. I just fixed our vacuum cleaner. So, but yeah, I mean, I gave a tour on Carl's show of the cemetery. We did all that, and we were walking around out there, and I kept getting thorns stuck in my pants and things like that because everything was so overgrown.
Oh gosh.
And I mean, I'm not talking just really old stones. I'm talking ones that aren't even that old.
So not even maintaining the site.
And it's because this area is at times it's like a rainforest.
Yeah.
You got all that moisture. It may not rain, but we've got 90% humidity.
Right.
But
it's because it is.
Yeah. So that's kind of what we're working on. We've done an investigation out at Fort Blakely State Park. We were invited over there by the ghost hunting housewives. We want to do some stuff with Kat Hobson from when I was on the other network. She's on this network now. And so we're going to try to do some stuff with her. We just went up to McPike Mansion 2 weekends in a row back in October.
How is that? I mean, what's the activity like in that place? Is it always there or is it sporadic? I mean, what were your experiences with it? That's Pike Mansion, right? McPike, yeah.
MC. So the McPike family did move to California, and that's where they cultivated the McPike grape out there. They actually cultivated it first in Illinois and then took it to California. So it's one of the winemaking grapes that is out there. It's about this big.
Yeah.
This grape. It's like,
oh my God,
just a little bit smaller than a tennis ball.
Yeah.
And so we went to Ozark, Alabama.
Yeah, we were just there.
Yeah, we were just there.
A few months ago.
We helped with a deliverance.
Cool.
So we did that. That was a whole other story.
That's not why we were there.
That's not why we were there. We went to a paranormal conference and some lady needed help. And the people that she was talking to basically up and left her. And so we ended up sitting with her for 3.5 hours. And here comes Jeff Lepper. And we ended up getting him to sit down and talk with her and went into Deliverance the next day. So all before we all left to go, well, he had to go back to Baltimore and we had to come back here. And I have to tell you, to go from here to Ozark, Alabama, there is no good way. And it seems like every turn is a left turn.
We drove through Alabama once, right? We did that coming back from one of my earlier ventures to Florida about 10 years ago, like 2005. we drove our trailer all the way across country and back. That's when my kids moved there. But yeah, we went through Alabama. But like I said, I was laughing because you have these plantations that are dilapidating, right? These antebellum mansions. And I'd ask them like, how much are these things? Oh, it's over 100,000. This is 2005 prices. It's over $100,000. You know, like a matter of fact, I'm going, oh my God, I'm sitting in a dump in California that costs more than this thing. I'd rather sell it, come out here and fix one up, but there was nothing out there for me to go to in Alabama. So.
Oh yeah. But I say we'll probably go back to Ozark, Alabama. We went, what was that, in September?
Yeah.
There was a Paracon down there, and you know, there really wasn't very many people there, but we had a great time. And because we went to that event in Ozark, Alabama, we're now on Roku TV, we're on Dark Realm TV.
There you go.
On Roku and Amazon Fire.
Right
because
on.
we ran into a friend that asked us to become part of their service. And
that's cool.
It's like, woohoo!
All about connecting. That's the whole thing. It is. It's always about connecting.
That's it.
That's what I tell him. I mean, we had a great time there. We learned a lot, and I actually called out Jeff Lepper on the. Do you remember the Ghost of Shepherdstown when they did the Sigil of Solomon? Did that ritual? I called him out on that. Good. I go, why in the hell did you do that? Yeah. And he was like, wow. Nobody ever said that to him. Yeah.
Well, I made fun of it on my blog. It wasn't even a podcast here. It was a blog. I think I made fun of it. Like, what are these guys doing?
Yeah. And he said that he didn't want to do it.
He didn't want to do it.
But he said that what was going to happen was if he didn't do it, they were going to the only way he would do it is if Lori Johnson got to stay in it. They were trying to write her out at that point in time. But he goes, I told them I didn't think that this was the best thing to do. He goes, once I signed the thing, I kind of had to do what they said. Right.
Because that whole thing was such a perplexing thing to watch. Because even with Lori Johnson, she switched from psychic to paranormal to like a Christian's perspective, Father, Son, Holy Spirit. And I'm going, okay, I'm trying to follow this. What's, I know. And it's all over the map. It was all over.
It was.
You want to hear what's really funny
it's not on anymore.
About her? That she used to not live too far from where I lived. And she called me on the phone one night. I had asked her to be on my show, and suddenly she calls me on the phone. Mm-hmm. And I had just gotten out of the bathtub. My hair was in a towel. I was wrapped in a towel. And I had walked out to sit on the steps because, he was probably watching TV, football or something. Mm-hmm. And she's telling me where I'm sitting, what I'm wearing, kind of, and told me some things about me that's not, nobody else would have known, at least not at that moment in time, which is very strange for me because normally nobody can tell me anything. Mm-hmm.
I've tried.
At least not about that.
Oh.
They can't read me. And I don't think she was reading me. I think she was just reading where I was at. Yeah. But after talking to her for a little while, offline, away from everybody, found out that she lived not 15 minutes from where I lived growing up. Mm-hmm. That we quite possibly could have known each other.
Cross paths somewhere. Then. Yeah.
With a last name like Johnson and a first name like Lori. Mm-hmm. The odds are pretty good. And for me, she would never have put my maiden name. I mean, unless she knew my maiden name, she wouldn't have thought anything of it.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So, but I'm sorry, Chanel. Ozark was a nice memory for us. And hopefully it'll stay that way. And hopefully someday it'll be a good memory for you. But yeah, Lori is a good person, but she's kind of fallen off the face of the earth here. I haven't seen anything from her in a while.
She did the Louisiana show after that, right? The Hauntings of Louisiana, or whatever that show was called.
No.
Did she do part of that one, or did she get kicked off?
No, that was Sarah. Sarah Lemos.
Yeah.
And so Sarah did that one. And then after that, Sarah went to, she didn't go to Ghost of Morgan City. That's when they brought in Cindy Kaza and and Katie, and Katie was involved in the other one, Ghost of Morgan City, but he wasn't involved in Ghost of Shepherdstown because Bill was making the equipment then that they were utilizing.
And that was initially Nick Groff, wasn't it? That was
Nick Groff.
And then not all that stuff blew up with him. Yeah.
He was on the wrong network. He wasn't allowed to be there, I guess. I don't know.
Right.
But then, of course, you had Ben Hansen in the next one. What happened to him? He got more involved in UFOs.
Yeah.
It just makes you wonder if.
Actually, I found his shows more intriguing though, because he's the one that went down the path with MUFON, or not MUFON, Project Blue Book, and he interviewed the original lady. That show was super interesting, and then just died off. It's like, well, what happened?
Yeah, that was pretty good.
You guys found some, you guys found some good information, and the show just died. I thought it was kind of fascinating what he was onto, but it was like one season of it or 5 shows or something weird.
Yeah, I remember watching it, and Chanel, I haven't made it to Dothan yet, so.
Mount Vernon's also a nightmare. Mount Veron, not Mount Vernon, Mount Veron.
I don't know.
I don't remember where that is.
I don't either. It has to probably be in that same area. So, but we'll learn.
Is like dark stuff that happens there? Is that what the references to, or is it?
I don't know.
I think it's just. She said, Ozark, Alabama is old, filled with Civil War graves and battle sites, with a long history of selling murder and false imprisonment of African population. Lots of hate-filled locations that are not godly even today.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it did seem like the economy there was not. It could have been better. But again, it's during the Biden years, so we don't know how much of that is related to the current situation, or has it always been like that?
Right. Yeah.
But I will say we met some really nice people there
that's cool.
I would go hang out with again. So, so if you had one thing to tell everybody in the paranormal field, what would you tell them?
Be careful. Be careful. Be intrepidous. Like I said, if you're a Christian researcher too, rely back what the Holy Spirit's telling you about some places. Because I hear a lot of no's to go to a place. Like, so I wanted to film. That's why I haven't filmed a lot of Holy Ghost adventures. Because I've been hearing a lot of no's of places I've been thinking about going. But just be careful who you're talking to and what you're talking to. Right? Be very careful of that. And like you're saying, don't be searching for it or like become obsessive with it, because that's when you have a problem. When you're obsessed with it, and I get this recordings, I'm saving all these recordings, I'm listening them back. That's an issue. That's when the spiritual attachment starts. That's how it starts beginning. Just be careful of that part.
Don't get obsessed with anything.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah. Yep.
Because anything can lead you down. I mean, if you get obsessed with anything, it can lead you down the wrong path. So where can everybody find you?
They can find me on Facebook. There's a Field Guide Spiritual Warfare group on Facebook. Or you can just find Michael Norton on Facebook too. You can come hunt me down there.
Yeah, there's only 5 or 6 of them.
Yeah, you'll find my mug. It'll be there. But I had to take a lot of my contact information off of my websites because of what I do with the occult. Because they'd hunt me down or they'd load me up with porn sites.
Yeah.
On my emails, so I couldn't look at my help thing. So I had to hide my email, protect myself. Or people come in, like I call occult drones, with a program to come in and suck up my time. So I only get people that are either forward to me from pastors or something else. So that's why I'm hard to find on email. But it's very easy. Like Facebook, you're cool. You want to hang out. You want to talk about stupid stuff. That's cool. I'll keep you. But if you start doing weird stuff, we can easily delete you off Facebook. Yeah.
So do you have a podcast now?
Yeah, Tales of Glory podcast. It's on Spotify, YouTube. They're all there. I talk a lot about deep prayer on that podcast, and it's kind of like what you're asking for. When you get to the lines of exorcism, what sort of spirituality do you have to practice? And what does it look like to get there? And that's what I talk about a lot right now. So I'll be like, "Why are you talking about this prayer stuff on your podcast?" I go, "That's the stuff we don't cover when you have to go into deliverance, and what type of person you already have to be when you walk into an exorcism. Like a full-fledged, when you have something high up on the food chain, you're standing it down. This is where you have to be built up to go in to deal with this." So, but other stuff on my books, I went through all of them. A Field Guide Spiritual Warfare on the podcast. There are like 10 episodes devoted to that and talking about that. I'm currently looking now for like some crazy sites to do the Holy Ghost Adventures. I know of a site, but I have to fly out to North Carolina where there's supposed to be angelic activity happening constantly on the site. So I'm going to try to get out there somehow between now and summer and do some filming there. But I want to do something a little bit different than what the paranormal always has, like chasing demons, chasing this. If there's some weird spiritual stuff going on. I had a church out here. It closed though, and I wish I did video or did it for the podcast before it closed, because I have a Bible that's been anointed by angels. But the pastor died, and another church came and took it over, and they were afraid of the supernatural. So a lot of the supernatural shut down that church. It was an old church in San Francisco, and now it looks like the inside of a Starbucks. They made it very funky looking, so I don't think the activity is happening anymore. But I go, darn, I wish I went in there and videotaped this stuff before the pastor passed away, because I want to get the cool stuff. Like a lot of God stuff's happening, right? But we don't see it. We see more everything's demonic, and I want to veer away from that. Like, we know it's there. What else is happening? It's kind of cool to go look at and capture.
Yeah,
so.
It's like the news.
That'd be good.
Look here. Don't look over here.
Here.
Exactly. Right. Exactly.
So
yeah.
We need to see where the good stuff is, not where all the bad stuff is all the time, because the bad stuff is what's keeping us down.
Exactly.
So,
right. Yeah.
So, well, when you do North Carolina, if you need helpers, let us know. We may be able to come up, since we have a kid in South Carolina. It's not that far away. Only a short drive.
Whereabouts is it? North Carolina?
Is it Moravian Falls? Moravian? I'm trying to think of the name. It used to be the place where about
that.
Oh, was it TBN? Who was the guys? Tammy Baker. She used to live out there. It's about when they broadcast from there. But it's actually how they got started or something out there. There was some angelic activity. It's still there from an old spot that's about 600 years old by an old church. And a lot of this Christian stuff popped up, but it went sideways and went weird, and they migrated into their own studios. But I know this stuff's out there. I've heard from several other people. I want to go out there and like spend a night or two and see what we can capture.
Well, we'll have to find out where that is.
Yeah, I'll find out too.
Well, we're at the end of the show, and thank you so much for coming on,
you guys,
and sharing all this information. And it's always enlightening when we talk with you. You always bring us a lot of things to think about that we don't think about every day.
Right.
You do. We don't.
It's always like, what just happened yesterday? I got to go figure this thing out. What was that? What the heck was that? That's why God doesn't show me drones or UFOs. I have to go research that too. It'd be another thing. Like, don't show me those. It's got to.
I'd like to invite everybody to come back next Tuesday night at 5 o'clock for Carl, Ron, and myself with whoever special guest we have. And join me Monday night, January 13th at 7 p.m. Central for my guest, Mike Hatcher. And it may be very similar to this because he's got a lot of stuff he wants to talk about when it comes to religion and changing your life. So it may not be very paranormal, but it's going to be somewhat because he's also into the paranormal. So let's find out what he's got to share. And you can find us here, there, and everywhere. But I'm going to let Carl tell you about that.
Right. We want to thank Temple Phoenix Rising Entertainment's Facebook page for allowing us to go on there. And of course, always thank Things Network, which I'm part of Things Network. Denise and Ron are part of Things Network. And we also want to thank Dark Realm TV for allowing us to be able to put all our paranormal shows over on the Roku and Amazon Fire Stick. So you can always check us out, and you can check us out on the Bill of Rights Network.
Yes, this is a big cat.
Yeah.
And the Paranormal Pride YouTube page and the Paranormal Pride Facebook page. And aren't we still on
we're on Born TV
Rumble.
On Rumble. Yeah. We're over there. So you can always find us in a lot of places. So we want to thank everybody, and just join us next week at 5 p.m. here for the Paranormal Nation Radio. Not so normal. Everybody have a good evening.
Right. You too. Thank you guys so much. Thank you.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.